Welcome to Remembering Your Oneness with Zane Daniel and Monica Kupiec, where we know everything, and so do you. Hello.
Aloha, aloha.
So am I still blurry and fuzzy?
You're still a little blurry and fuzzy on my end.
Yeah.
So I wonder if our viewers can see Zane.
Yeah. You have to let us know. Say hello to us, say where you're from, tell us what's going on in your world, and let us know if you can see me. My internet connection isn't so hot today for some reason, so I might be a little bit I might be a little bit fourth density.
Yeah, or a different type of density.
Yeah.
And then we do apologize for skipping last week's podcast. I was on an airplane to Colorado, so that's that explanation. If you've been wondering, where have we been?
Yes. Hey, hello, Maria. Welcome. The land of freedom. That's awesome. She's from Sweden, the land of freedom. I don't know if that's like an honest thing that she's saying, like an authentic, or if it's like a sarcastic thing. But either way, I like it.
I feel like every country right now is at a sarcastic point for the land of freedom. But
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. Yeah. Well, and you were on a plane going to Colorado. You were at 30,000 feet or whatever, which is pretty crazy because then you climbed a mountain that was 14,000. So half that distance, right? Was it 14?
12.
12. Okay.
Yeah.
So almost half. Yeah.
Well, I went from sea level in Hawaii to 12,000 feet.
Yeah.
My friends they were actually surprised how well me and my friend did because we both came from Hawaii.
Mhm.
And I definitely felt it in the beginning when we started climbing. I was definitely going much slower because I'm like gasping for air, like, wait, like my body feels fine, but I can't breathe.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. You had all the muscle energy to climb up 12,000 feet, but the difference is the chest lung energy would be a very different thing. So this is my last week here in Michigan, and then I head to Tennessee next week. So that'll be cool in Maryville, Tennessee, which is really neat because if I've talked about this on here, I don't know, but when I did my retreat for permaculture, it was in Maryville, Tennessee, and so I have some wonderful friends there who run a retreat center. And what's really neat is it comes coincidingly with the topic for this week, which is talking about fourth dimensional romantic relationships. And the reason I'm going to Tennessee is I'm going to visit my girlfriend's mother.
Oh, you have a girlfriend?
Yes, we haven't talked about this.
We have not talked about this.
Right. Yeah. So she's with me right now. We've been driving for we haven't been driving. We've been traveling though and living in different places for a couple of weeks. So it's pretty cool.
That's quick.
Yeah. Right.
I think I'm at the same, like, oh, wow. I mean, I'm like casually seeing a guy for like the past 4 months, and I'm like, he's not even my boyfriend yet.
Yeah, that's right. Oh yeah, no, she's my new girlfriend. It's pretty great. We've had a really good time, and and as Caitlyn knows because she's been working with me actually.
3D being.
Yeah. Yeah. And yes, she is an artist and she's extremely talented, and so it's just been a really great experience. So it does coincide really well with talking about 4D relationships and beginning that process of really seeing how that works, because I'm I guess newly enlightened or newly open-minded to the spiritual realm. It's been within the last 5-7 years, something like that, but I haven't really been able to have a full-on high vibrational relationship. I've had it pretty close to one, And so this is going to be another opportunity to explore that. And really, when we talk about like, what does that even mean?
Mm-hmm.
I kind of break it into two things. You know me, I'm always breaking things down into this category and that category. But first of all, it's important to understand that unconditional love and romantic love are two separate things.
Mm.
In an unconditional love situation, you can unconditionally love everyone on the planet, right? And what do they have to do in return? Nothing.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have to what is that called? Unrequited. They don't have to requite it. They don't have to tell you that they love you unconditionally back. You don't even have
Mm-hmm.
to declare it to them. Like I make a joke all the time. Like I don't know anyone in Mongolia, but I don't. And I still unconditionally love them. Does that mean I have to send them all a letter? Does that mean I
Mm-hmm.
have to send them all an email or a Facebook message and say I love you unconditionally, and then hope that they say it back? Like, no, no, it doesn't matter. I can unconditionally love everyone, and I can unconditionally love everyone and not even like them, right? There can be
Mm-hmm.
people that irritate me or whatever, but I can still love them unconditionally. So I think one of the biggest problems that people run into when they start into this is that they want to unconditional romantically unconditionally love someone,
Mm-hmm.
and that I don't think works very well, because there's actually beauty in conditional love. And conditional love, if you really truly celebrate conditional love, then you're celebrating the fact that you're two very separate individuals in a 3D sense, that wow, they're actually compatible. This person likes this type of food and that person is okay with that. This person likes this
Mm-hmm.
type of music and that person does too, or whatever. Like, all the compatibilities are kind of amazing, and they can really be embraced and loved. And that's the reason that you're going to be with a romantic partner for the most
Mm-hmm.
part, is that compatibility. And so celebrating that is actually celebrating separation, right? So we're talking about remembering our oneness and moving into oneness all the time. But
Mm-hmm.
when we're in a 3D romantic relationship, we are actually celebrating separation and the joining of two separated individuals at a level that you wouldn't normally experience with anyone else.
Mm.
So that's
Yeah.
just like, I mean, there's so much to say on this, but that's like my opening statement, is that you can absolutely unconditionally love your romantic partner, but you can also stop romantically loving them and still unconditionally love them for the rest of their lives.
Well, that's like part of the whole like forgiving your partner for whatever happened that, you separated, and that's where the unconditional love comes from. I think it's definitely through forgiveness of the actions that have led to the separation of it all. And then comes unconditional love, because what I'm assuming what you mean by conditional love is like this current romantic state that, oh my god, I love you, like, you're the one for me, you're like, you help me remember, my true self, or you help me remember my oneness, type of thing. And then unconditional love is like actually not needing a second person to do that type of stuff. Am I getting this correctly?
Yeah, I mean, and it's not even that you need someone to do that sort of
Yeah.
thing, but that's what that person gives you,
Yeah.
or you can benefit from, right? But
Mhm.
yeah, otherwise, yeah, I agree completely with what you're saying. Wow, we've got a lot of comments coming in. This is really fun. I think we got a topic that really resonates with people today. Um, so yeah, love rules. So we've always got rules, right? We've always got like, oh, we're going to look at it this way, and we're going to look at it this way within these things.
Mhm.
And I like what Caitlyn says here: is unconditional love is not a feeling; it's a state of being. So
Mhm.
we talk about this sometimes in my program too. Is that when we first of all, when we say I love myself unconditionally, we are also saying I love myself anyway. So
Mhm.
instead of saying, "Oh, I love all of my flaws and I love all of my aspects and everything," it's almost easier to say, "I love myself unconditionally because I love myself anyway. I love myself even though I'm loud and annoying. I love myself even though I ran over a squirrel with my car.
Mhm.
I love myself no matter what. That's what unconditional love means. So, and so we have evolved in the 3D world to experience emotions and actually feel them. And that guides us. Unconditional love is not necessarily a survival based emotion, because if we unconditionally loved our predators and we go, oh, I love my predator, blah, and then you'd be dead. So it doesn't really work that well for long-term survival. So unconditional love does not follow the same like feeling path that all of your other emotions follow. It goes into a different category altogether. And I think a state of being is a really great way to say that.
Mhm. Well, it's like it becomes second nature once you start practicing it, where it's you just don't have that certain judgment against someone because you just automatically send them love, or you just automatically just understand that they're at a place where they're at, and you just don't, you don't tap into or feed off of that energy that they're giving off, because you know your own self. And it's like a barrier. I feel like the unconditional love is, it's like it's helping you filter through like the bullshit in life in a way, because you understand that this isn't so, but it is as it is right now.
Yep, absolutely. Okay, I'm reading some other things.
Caitlin at the end said, though the predator is also eating you with unconditional love.
It is, right. Yeah, you don't maybe get to have any children after that, so you don't further the species. So it doesn't work so well from a survival standpoint. But yes, it is definitely doing so. Yeah. Okay. I like Denise's comment here. Yes, I have this unconditional love with several of my ex partners. I get it completely, and I do as well. And really, I mean, I feel I could say this, that I'm in a state that I'm in unconditional love with all beings and
Mhm.
all animals and all of existence. So an ex, it doesn't matter whether it's an ex or someone I've never met, but still, to be able to maintain a great relationship or a great respect level for an ex, I think is huge. And it talks more about you than it talks about them. So
Mhm.
if you hate your exes, you might want to reconsider that, because that doesn't help you with your life. That will lower your vibration. That will, get in the way of your own thriving and success and happiness and general vibration. So reevaluate that you hate your exes, because they're beings of light too, and you signed a soul contract with them to have the entire relationship exactly as you did. And the main way that you use free will is to say, how do I respond to my situation, not
Mhm.
what situation did I choose.
Yeah. So I'm sure we're all dying to know, how did you meet your girlfriend?
Oh,
Before we
right. Okay.
because you said
Yes.
she's spirit, or she's into spirituality, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yes.
So
So
I'm sure
yeah,
there's some sort of magical story that you can tell us.
I know it's kind of funny. It's actually in that same way. It is magical, but it isn't along the lines that you would think. So we actually met
I'm totally
because
teasing you, by the way,
I
so
well, yeah, but it's valid, right? So we met online, and it was through my attempt to find some entertainment, because I was working all the time,
yeah.
constantly working, right? And so then it was great, because I finally said, you know what, I want to play some sort of online games. And
Mhm.
I like playing role playing games. I used to like to do that a lot.
Yeah.
So I actually found a group that was playing a role playing game online, and
Mm.
decided that, okay, let's join this, and on the same day I just went, yeah, let's do this. And there were 5 or 6 people in it, and she was one of the people that was playing, and we ended up
Mhm.
having a brief conversation afterwards,
Mm.
just her and I, and we kind of hit it off. It wasn't even a video game,
Mhm.
or like video chat. It was only verbal, and I
Oh.
just heard her voice, and I just went, wow, I really like this person. And I just, all I can do is hear her voice.
Mhm.
So over time, we continued to talk. We continued to play in one of the games until we finally got to meet her.
Mhm.
I finally got to meet her, and it was great, because you know how I've been saying I was in Washington, right?
Yeah.
That's where she lived.
Oh. Oh.
So yeah, so we were getting to know each other, and then she decided to go on this road trip with me, and we're right now at my parents'
Mhm.
cabin in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, and so she's met them, and then now yeah, I'm going to be meeting her parents, and I think that's what Caitlyn was like laughing about, like, whoa, that was awful fast that you're meeting each other's parents, but if it feels right, then it is right.
Mm, that's really cool.
Yeah, definitely cool. Right. I love all these comments. This is great. Okay, let's see. Well, this is who it is.
Oh, it's Jaybird.
Yeah,
Oh.
exactly. Yeah. Oh yeah,
Oh.
you've seen her before. Yep, yep.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
it's
That's
awesome.
really sweet that she's, tuning in on it.
Yeah, yeah. She's been tuning into a lot of my stuff. It's been really fun to have that support. Absolutely.
That's
And
so
then
cute.
yeah, yeah.
It's almost like a mystery, but it wasn't a mystery because she was, like, talking with us.
That's
Oh my
awesome. All
gosh,
right. Look at
Caitlin.
that. We've already got people in the group that are excited to meet her. This is awesome. She didn't expect me to make an announcement today.
Hi. I feel like she's gotta come in now. She's probably, like, in the other room, and I'm like, we're ready to
Oh,
meet her.
she is not excited about camera stuff, so we won't put her through that right now, but maybe eventually we'll be able to do that. Yeah.
She's
She
shy.
says I'm shy. Right. So yeah. All right, let's see. Oh, right. Okay, I like this. Okay, so how do you describe your feeling this time compared to past relationship? Well,
Mm,
again, it is all about ourselves. It is at the very beginning, it has to be about how healthy you are. Are you in unconditional love for yourself? Are you in a place where that your partner could say something really horrible to you? Horrible, right? Like I find someone else more attractive than you, and that usually can like destroy a relationship, right? But if you can be in a state of mind that it can accept that sort of statement and go, you know what? um, we are one, right? So now let's go into what does a fourth dimensional relationship actually mean? It means you're stepping more and more towards the oneness and away a little bit from the separation. But it's an interesting combination because in order to have a romantic relationship, you actually do have to embrace separation. Because especially the yin and the yang kind of situation is that when you go into a one-on-one romantic relationship, one of you is yin and one of you is yang in a sense. So
mhm,
so being able to embrace that is a wonderful thing, and yet moving toward oneness together involves the ability, first of all, to be able to just say anything, and no matter what it is, no matter how painful it is, no matter what, to the other person, and have the other person not condemn you or not make a decision about you, to actually understand that we are all complex beings. And as complex beings, we can accept or we can handle, or maybe we can't. And we go through an emotional response to the comment. Like there's any number of things that can happen. But what's really important is that we are able to like come to an understanding eventually because we understand the limitations of another 3D being that's
mhm.
doing the best that it can to handle things. So this is hilarious because I don't even know what it is. Freudian slip, however, I know what he means. So see, I already said something goofball in this, and she's already totally understanding that I don't mean anything by it. I don't even know what I said at this point.
Yeah. Well, I feel like every relationship you like grow your like awareness and self-awareness especially, and as well as like knowing what triggers you and like what doesn't trigger you. So I feel like every time you're in a new relationship, you kind of just realize where you're at in your spiritual game in a way where
Yeah,
I feel like even now, I mean, I've had so many like, not like relationships, but I've been with a lot of men, and I feel like every time I'm with someone new, I feel like I'm either more aware of my own actions and how I react to them, and if I become attached or if I become like less attached, it's all just part of like knowing that you don't need that, like, second person in a way to make you feel whole or to, like, complete your day. And I
Right.
feel like now, like, I'm, like, sort of seeing someone now, and it's, like, different. I can feel that it's different, almost like maybe because we've just had so many past lives together is, like, what I've picked up from, like, the Reiki that I've done on him and, like, one of the paintings that I've done. And it's like I have this, like, sense of, like, peace when I'm around him, and it's like, "Oh, like, you're kind of like my best friend in a way because we can just, like, chill and do nothing." And, like, almost like with other relationships, I was always, like, anxious, like, "Oh, we're doing nothing right now, like, I'm wasting my time in a way." So there's this definitely, like, I guess, like, you expand your consciousness through relationships, and that's okay if you go through so many relationships because there will come a point in time where you're actually gonna, realize that all of these past relationships have just helped you, become more self-aware. And I feel like self-awareness is like the biggest thing to have in life and to experience, whether it's, part of being in a 3D, 4D, or even a 5D state. But the more you grow your self-awareness, the higher vibrational you become, and you're just not triggered by people's, bad habits or something like that. You just realize, like, oh, that's just them being them. Like, it's kind of cute and adorable versus, like, automatically putting a judgment like, "Oh, this person drinks too much." But it's like, oh, now it's like, "Oh, they're just drinking. That's fine. They're just being themselves." It's like I'm not putting things personally into, like, my own, like, judgment of how someone should act. So I feel like that's the biggest flaw in, like, relationships is that the other person has all these expectations, and they're not even realizing that they're just being them or they're just being themselves. They're being
Right.
authentic with themselves by doing these certain actions.
Yes, I think that you just answered Miriam's question perfectly.
Mhm.
The 40 is going into oneness. What are some signs you're moving into a 4D relationship? I think you summed it up perfectly. It's acceptance, right? You are
Mhm.
accepting of whatever they are, and that is loving loving everything about them, including their flaws. And so that is the exact way that you move into a 4D or a 5D consciousness is you love everything exactly as it is because it is exactly as it is supposed to be. So,
Mhm.
there's
Yeah.
the other aspect maybe of moving into a 4D relationship is, like I was saying, that ability to communicate in a way that you're just totally open and you're not afraid to say anything, and accept no matter what they say. But you also, especially if you are both in a starting to maybe interact with your guides or starting to have some spiritual experiences, then it is kind of cool because you start to kind of read each other's thoughts or read each other's minds or be able to anticipate the other's needs. And so
Mhm.
that is also kind of a sign of that combining that we're talking about, that moving from separation and into oneness. Yeah. Yeah, that's so awesome. Okay, so there's so many great things coming through here. Uh Almost more than we can keep up with. Yeah. Oh, there. Okay, so I want to start with this one. Can you have a 4D relationship with someone who has not done any self-healing work? I have an answer for this. What do you think, Monica?
I think yes, only because I feel like it's still me that is, like, the most well, I don't know. Well, I feel like if the other person at least is open to the concepts of, like, self-healing work, then I feel like you're fine. But if that other person is closed off, then maybe it'll be a little bit trickier that you're gonna be doing more of the work than you kind of should be. But, I feel
Yeah.
like it's just a part of openness that you need to have, like, a 4D relationship.
Yeah.
Um,
It's
right?
shades
Yeah.
of gray. It's shades of gray, right? Because it
Mhm.
depends on how far away they are from wanting to do any self-healing work. You
Yeah, there you
you
go.
cannot
Mhm.
have a 4D relationship with someone who is not at all open to any of the things that we've talked about so far. That is
Mhm.
in constant judgment, that is in constant, like think about trying to have a 4D relationship with a narcissist. Like it's just not going to work. But if both people are at that level of openness to moving into that, and if both people make effort into not getting so upset, or to not getting to the point where you're holding all this stuff in, and then you're just blowing up in frustration. If you can practice this quick communication, and this openness, then yeah, it can be done with anyone, no matter what level they're at the time,
Yeah.
as long as they're open to it and working on it. I think so.
Mhm. Well, even Caitlyn just said, like, you probably wouldn't be drawn into their orbit or them into yours anyways. So,
Yeah.
yeah, there's definitely has to be a sense of openness because even for me being just very highly intuitive, like, I can see and feel people's like true self. But like, if that person can't see their true self, then there's really no point of like, starting something or elaborating more because they'll never get to the point of realizing who they truly are. But if
Right.
you have that openness, it's like you can sort of like help steer them or help wake them up or just help them in some way, but it's not you're not overpowering that help. Or it's kind of like being a healer, like when you take energy from yourself, then you actually get drained versus when you ask your source or ask earth for the healing, it comes through without draining you. So I feel like it's the same part with a relationship, is that you can't keep giving if you're not receiving something in return. Or if you keep give and give and give to try to help them, but they're not even going to change, their little habits or whatever. But
Mhm.
I feel like, a 40 relationship has to have that openness on both sides to ideas of, I guess, oneness.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and so this is a giant block of text from Caitlin. We're not going to read it all out loud, but ultimately, what she's saying here is that she has an issue where she has the feeling of not being good enough, and so then in that case, you're pursuing that other person to fill what you're missing.
Mhm.
And when you come into a relationship where you're already filled, then all you're doing is you're overflowing each other's cups with
Yeah.
whatever that you're giving, and so that can be really a beautiful experience. um
Well, I know that when I first started dating, I know I had a lot of like self-worth issues that I was still like dealing with, and that attracted those type of,
yeah,
not those like not so great partners that I had.
right.
And it's like now that I have definitely gained much more self-worth in myself or confidence, like, I the past maybe 2, 3 years, I could see a change in the men that I meet, whether they're just friends or whether they're like, intimate partners. So it's like it definitely works first with working on yourself. And then you'll start to see that, the people that you meet, whether they're romantic or not, are actually going to shift as well because you're vibing at a higher vibration, so it's gonna obviously attract someone that is in that point too. But I feel like if you're keep being attracted to a certain type, then there's still something within that you haven't worked through or that you're still supposed to learn from that type of person or
Mhm.
that type of characteristic that keeps on repeating in different people that you meet.
Yeah.
So for me, I feel like, from the mass pool of people that I've been with, it's like I can see the pattern and I can actually like, do the test of like, okay, yeah, I know when I wasn't feeling my best, these are the type of people that have been coming into my life. And I feel like now since I'm doing my art, like actually not in a job that I hate, like it's like, oh, this is now reflecting the romantic partner that I currently have now. It's like it makes
Mhm.
sense. And it's like if I keep leveling up, then either the next partner or if it's still the current partner that I have, it's like, that is only going to get stronger and deeper and more like spiritual in a way.
Right. Yep. And so she says it perfectly, that, and I it's funny because we just declared this to each other last night. We just were like, you know what? You're like my best friend, and that's where you want to get to, because if you can't get there, then what is that other partner, right? Like that,
Yeah.
that's not going to work as well if it's just utilitarian or for only one purpose. But this is the full purpose, which is beautiful.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see. So You can love them the way they are, but it doesn't mean you can live with them in that way. So Bernice is suggesting that there are people that, this is where we get into the unconditional love versus romantic love. So, you can love them the way they are. So that's sounding kind of like unconditional love because it has a hint of, but I don't live them. I can't stand them. I can't I can't live with them. And
Mm-hmm.
so that's the condition. So now you've got unconditional love. I love them exactly as they are, but conditionally, I can't live with them. So now they are not a great candidate for a romantic relationship, or they shouldn't maybe still be. And so
Mm-hmm.
here's another thing that, I've also gone through a handful of relationships in my life. And, there's a kind of an antiquated approach to, you have to find the one that is going to be with you for the rest of your life. And
Mm-hmm.
I think that gets in the way of you being able to have incredible experiences. If you are saying, okay, well, I love all the aspects about this person except for this is going to make it so we can't have a rest of our lifestyle relationship. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to get involved in it. Now you're missing out on what that person can provide you. And maybe you're right. Maybe you can't have a rest of your lifestyle relationship with that person.
Mm-hmm.
But can it be beautiful? Can you get something amazing out of it anyway? And and then you might be wrong. You might think that you can't have a rest of your lifestyle relationship with this person, but until you try it, you don't know. So some people jump into fear before they give that relationship a chance because they're it's the addiction to perfection, right? I'm
Mm-hmm.
addicted to this perfect relationship, exactly how it's supposed to be. I know this is what I will like and this is what I will not like, and this person has to be this way and this way and this way and this way. and
Mm-hmm.
and then that is a sense of fear because it's control. You're trying to control your experience so much, you're not allowing yourself to become flexible and adaptable, and so
Yeah.
now you're cutting off opportunities. So I really want to get everybody away from the idea that everything has to be perfect at all times, because it already is perfect at all times, just not your judgment of perfect.
Mm-hmm.
It is exactly as it's supposed to be, and you can embrace that and enjoy every opportunity that you have, whether it be a business opportunity or a friendship opportunity or a relationship opportunity. It doesn't always have to be perfect. All it has to be is, does it resonate with you? Do you feel excitement over it? Do you
Mm-hmm.
feel love for the person? That's what you really need to follow, and let the rest of the criteria either fall away or just watch it fall into place.
Yeah. Well, I feel like there's also like a technique that I've used, especially when I went back to like my parents' house of like, parents obviously like to bicker a lot, but it's almost like you really want to step out of the idea of the relationship or the things that have happened in the past and really just see that person as they are in the current state because they actually could be mentally, struggling right now, or maybe there's a stress that's going on that the other partner doesn't see because they keep nagging about the same thing over and over again, or they keep repeating a memory from the past that is blocking seeing that person in the current state. So if someone is struggling living with someone, it could just be because you're so stuck in the past that you're not seeing what is actually going on, on like a like beyond the surface level, that that person could actually be struggling right now and they just don't know how to act or react, or maybe internally, like maybe something is happening to them where they are having sleep problems or mental breakdowns throughout the day, but you just don't see that because you're just blinded by what has happened in the past. That's just an observation that I've made in like observing different couples. It's like
Mm-hmm.
they're stuck in the past state versus currently
Yeah.
expressing or verbally communicating of what is actually happening. I think
Right.
communication is the biggest issue in struggling to live with someone, is because one person is being stubborn and the other person is just omitting having that deeper conversation, or omitting talking about something that's irritating them, where
Mm-hmm.
you might be the person that talks to someone else about your partner but talking to someone else about the situation isn't actually going to help the relationship, because you're not talking to the person that's at the core, or at the, at the not necessarily the fault, but the underlining problem. I just feel that a lot of people talk to others instead of talking to the actual source, which is the partner.
Yeah.
And I feel like
Right.
that's part of getting to the unconditional love state, or the conditional love state again, is actually working through the problem with the person versus talking to someone else about it. Because you can go back and forth about various situations with other people, but you're still omitting the problem of, you know, of solving it.
Yeah,
Because you're just
absolutely.
seeking validation from other people versus the validation from the partner.
Yeah. Yeah, I like this question from Denise because she's talking about partners who are on the Asperger autistic spectrum. They can be amazing, but there isn't a feeling that they can cope with you just being your authentic self. So if you got angry or jealous or hurt, they're triggered by a display of strong emotion. So Denise, I wonder if you could answer this question for me. Would you be able to, while you're having one of those emotional responses, anger, jealousy, hurt, whatever it is, instead of just not displaying it to them because you don't think they can handle it, would you be able to kind of logically explain it? Like, I don't really want to hurt you with this, but I do really want to express my authentic self. Ask the Asperger person, would you like me to express my authentic self? Most likely they're going to say yes. And then you can say, okay, so this this is going to come maybe difficult for you to handle, but it's really important to me to be able to express it and make it a communication. And what you want to
Mhm.
do is you want to make it a communication while you're not having the experience, so that you don't have the overwhelming anger that's coming through, or jealousy, or whatever it is, and be able to kind of prep them for it. Like, hey, I would like to be able to do this with you, and I would like to enter into a fourth density relationship with you. So, and part of the process of doing that is us being able to express our emotional experiences. So, work with him or her to figure out, okay, how can I do this so that I can be my authentic self? Then, when it actually happens, since you have enough awareness to not show it to the person, that means you also have enough awareness to be able to articulate what you're experiencing. Hey, remember the thing we talked about before where I need to be able to express myself? I'd like to begin doing that now. Can you
Mhm.
handle that? And then get that affirmation, and then let it go and let that flow through. So, if it's just all of a sudden, just out of the blue, like WTF, then yeah, then they're going to have this weird response to it. But if you have enough understanding of self, enough ability to observe yourself, then you can probably still deliver authentic responses to things, and also have this beautiful kind of communication between the two of you that makes it so that will be successful for you both.
Yeah.
I wanted to say hello to, and I want to say all these names: Novardi, Funk, Janamd, Kaiser. I love that. That is the most amazing name ever. Novardi, all NFGK. NFGK. Where are you located? I really want to know where you come from. Okay, let's see. What else do we have here? Oops, it jumped around. There's lots of new things coming in here. Let's see.
Just sending some good vibes to Caitlyn, because
Nice.
yeah.
Oh, yes. So Caitlin was just crying a few minutes ago. So important for us to feel and allow ourselves to be our authentic selves. Absolutely. Eventually, I think I will get to the place where I can be, where I can build that space for myself. But I actually set up a weekly call with a friend where I can just say all the angry and sad thoughts going on in there. I love that. So that I can allow myself to get it out and validate myself, my authentic self. I
Yeah.
want to assure. Oh, she just loves to write. Okay, let's see. I want to assure you, are basically I'm working on taking it in and integrating it rather than denying it and then letting it pass through. So
Mhm.
there was probably more there that got lost, but it's wonderful.
Yeah, it's really good to well, I mean, I feel like you always have to feel the emotion that you're currently in, and if it's to cry, you should cry. If it's to vent, then you should definitely vent. Don't be bottling up everything like, "Oh, it's everything's perfect." But, if you have to vent to someone, but also just remember, communicate with the core issue that's going on too. Don't be scared to have that conversation with someone. It's obviously going to hurt and be miserable and might be, tragic, but it will make you feel better, and you're not going to stick that emotion somewhere in your body where in the long run could cause like a disease or it could cause some sort of internal problem. So if anything, any even romantic, partners, when, you're having these arguments and you're bottling up emotions, in the long run, it might not be so hot with your health. But if you can expressively, openly, and authentically communicate in the moment, you're going to help save yourself in the long run. Whether it's, ending that relationship, or if it's, it might even strengthen the relationship because that other person might not be even be aware that they're doing these things that are irritating you or that's upsetting you. Because that other person might not be at a spiritual level that you are at, so they're not even self-aware of these things. They're just completely thinking that everything is okay. So that's just my take on that.
That's awesome. Yeah. And Denise then says, what's interesting about this comment from Denise is that she did do some of that conversation, but after they had already reacted negatively. I mean, that's almost always going to be the case, Denise. Like, you don't know what is going to be right or wrong or how well it's going to go until you actually get that negative reaction. And so that's still a
Mhm.
wonderful place to conversate. You can say, hey, remember that time when I did this and you responded like that? What were you experiencing at that time? What can I do to make it so that it's not so painful for you? So
Mhm.
obviously, I'm all about the communication, like diving in and continuing to get the the walls parted and the doors opened, and just this true raw authentic self, like, hey, we're just both human beings trying to figure this out, and we're a team. We are both wanting the same thing. We both want a fantastic relationship.
Mhm.
So let's do whatever it takes, through communication, through working it out, through patience, through optimism and all that. Let's work together to figure it out. And with every person, you have unique opportunities. Denise might have might have a situation where she does really explode in certain situations, and then the next person might have somebody like kind of like me, that I don't really explode at things, but I really think a lot, and I kind of don't don't always articulate it. Maybe I bury it a little bit and takes me a little time to go, oh wait, I was kind of thinking that, but I almost didn't even realize that I was. So, like
Yeah.
with each individual person, you're going to find different keys that you're going to use to unlock their true authentic selves. And so you have to be open to discovering what those keys are, and then when you do, actually talking about them, like, hey, I think I figured out one of your keys, does this make sense? And then they can go, yeah, yeah, totally, that's so cool, like, let's do this together. You see that the main component that I'm talking about here is that teamwork aspect. And if you don't have that teamwork aspect, if you do and they don't, then it's going to be a long struggle. But it's amazing when you both do.
Yeah.
Hi, Annie.
We got a lot of hellos today.
Yeah, yeah, it's been great. Okay, so Navardi, Funky, Janamd, Kaiser, enjoying the way that I tried to pronounce the name. So I'm glad that you found that to be entertaining. And, you know, I'll do it anytime you want.
But I think the right one above from Miriam is her understanding that if we are good understanding of the self and are able to communicate to each other from an authentic space, we're stepping into a 40 relationship.
Yeah.
I think that that does
Sums it
sum it
up
up.
nicely, doesn't
Hmm.
it? Yeah. So
I think it's when feel like it's more of like when you accept the person as they are. I feel like that's definitely a 4D, could even be a 5D relationship. It's kind of like a no judgment type of zone, but obviously there will be some judgment that comes along, but you work through the judgment as it comes along,
yeah,
where you always check in with yourself of like, oh, this is something new that's like triggering me. Let's dive a little bit deeper with it, whether you're diving deeper within yourself or with the other person through the communication. But I
yeah,
feel like once two people are in that standing point of acceptance, then it's definitely more of a 4D relationship because it's definitely not, an unconscious one. Maybe it's more of a conscious relationship than a 40 one, but it's definitely in the same theme and same line of it all.
right. And so Carol's talking about how narcissists blame you and they never take on responsibility and so on and so forth. Yeah, it is pretty much impossible to have a 4D relationship with somebody who is not open to most of the concepts of a 4D relationship. I mean that's just straightforward. Um, and I do have to throw this out though. If you do find yourself in a relationship with a narcissist and you realize it and you need to get out of it, generally it takes some time to get yourself extracted from those situations, especially if there's shared responsibilities or anything like that. And one of the best pieces of advice that I have for that is to look at that narcissist as two things. One, hilarious, like they're the most hilarious comedian you've ever seen, because look at how hard they're trying to manipulate me. Like, wow,
Yeah.
that is really going far. Instead of just being a team with me and communicating and being awesome, they feel like they have to do all these tactics and tricks and manipulation stuff and all that. This is hilarious. Like, what a funny person this is. And then two, I forgot the second one. I got so into number one, I forgot the second one. Oh, they're your greatest teacher,
Yeah.
because that is an opportunity for you to find all of the things that bother you, and then look at to see why they bother you. Is it
Mhm.
related to some childhood trauma or some blockage? And then you can start to shake that stuff out, and you can actually essentially, maybe not directly, but thank them for the service that they've provided, which allows you to have grown in a new and amazing way. So I don't see narcissists as all a problem, all bad. They are a perfect opportunity for you to grow yourself. And I'm
Mhm.
going to steal one from you, Monica, and say that if you say it, and I say it all the time now, this is one of my favorite things that you say, is that if you can go home and live with your parents, then you are in a state of enlightenment, because they probably drive you crazy in your adult life. But when you can really be in the same space with them for a long period of time and be fine with it, then you really truly have mastered yourself.
Yeah. To go in the line of Annie, she said, "Where's the best place to meet spiritually minded people anyhow?" Um, a little trick that I always did whenever I, went out anywhere, I always checked in with my guides and my higher self, and I asked, "Let me meet the person that I need to meet." And usually I always, walked out with, a pretty hot guy, but they always taught me something and they always taught me something more about myself. And I think that's more important than meeting someone that's spiritual. It's always just about meeting someone that's going to help you with your self awareness. And I think anyone can be spiritual. And the fact that you are already looking for someone spiritual, you'll definitely meet someone that is. Even, you're not probably looking for a monk or someone that is just like, on level like, 21 or something like that. But I feel like anyone that is open to consciousness or to anything along those topics you're going to meet, as long as you're setting that intention out that you're looking for someone that's going to elevate you or that's going to bring out the best in you, and that's usually going to be in a spiritual aspect.
Absolutely. That's a beautiful answer to that question. I think that Justin's right that a lot of people, not a lot, well, more and more people, I feel like, are running into this issue, and this is obviously something that I help people with an awful lot, is dealing with the negative entities or demons, and you know, the narcissist, of course, is going to be at a lower vibrational state and is going to be a vibrational match to negative entities and that sort of thing. So it is common that that could occur. But again, when we work with people like this, which I have a program specifically for it, what we're doing is we're working on the individual. We're not working on the entities. So we're making it so that you're no longer a vibrational match. And when we make it so that you're not a vibrational match for a lower density entity, then that means we're raising your frequency. We're helping you step into your power. And that puts you in a great place to be able to have a 4D romantic relationship. So it all kind of plays together and works really well.
I just chuckled at Caitlyn's comment in the middle of you talking. She said, "You mean I shouldn't wander around Tibetan caves when searching for the new Mr. Lettuce?"
Right. Yes.
I've been doing it all
I've been
wrong.
doing it all wrong. Yes,
Well, I
exactly.
feel like when you do the things that you love to do, it's gonna happen unexpectedly. When you're really, caring for yourself, when you're really, you know, actually performing your passions, I feel like you're gonna bump into someone that is going to be, either your soulmate or someone from your past life that is just gonna cross paths with you again. And like Jay Bird said, it's like the best way to meet a spiritual person is to let them find you, because they're also that other person is searching for someone as spiritually inclined as you are. And who knows, maybe it is them that will meet you first, because you're in la la land of like performing your passion and in just such high vibrational that it's like you're not even going to notice that they are seeing you, or that they are, in your awareness, because you're just being you, type of thing. Because I
Yeah.
feel like if you're in a constant search state, which I feel like I was maybe in the past, of like, oh, I want to meet the one, I want to find him. I never was. I was meeting the wrong men. But once I finally put that aside of like, okay, let me just focus on myself now. Let me paint. I love painting now. I it's like it's happening to me without me searching for it.
Yeah.
So even though
Absolutely.
that saying is kind of cliche, I feel like it's pretty spot on.
Yeah. Absolutely. So Jody reaches out on YouTube. So glad I found this under attack and need help. You'd be reaching out to me. I appreciate that very much, Jody. I would love to help you. And right now I'm going to send a link so you could set up a call with me if you'd like. So hopefully you'll see that link and you can check it out. So thank you for reaching out. Let's see. Yeah, right. Okay. So Bernice brings up a good point about narcissists. They can be violent. Right. And
Mhm.
so, yeah, in a violent situation, then I'm sorry, but get out. Right. Like, yeah, they're not hilarious at that point. You need to get away. But even hateful can be you can still find it to be funny. Like, think about it as an actor, because everyone actually is a being of light deep inside. And so they're acting like a hateful person, and they're acting like a hateful person because they signed the soul contract to do that to you. So you can actually see them as a comedian turned actor. And still, because it's all about, when there's a lot of research that's been done that says if you can laugh about the most horrible situation that ever happened to you, then it doesn't affect you as much as it did. So if you can laugh about the narcissist, then they're not going to be able to affect you as much, because you're going to float above that frequency. You're not going to be dragged down into theirs. You're just going to be observing them as though you're watching your favorite show or movie.
Mhm. And if someone is in a relationship like that, I feel like you really have to take time for yourself to do what you love, so that way you raise that vibration even higher when you are around that person. I think that's one of the best healing ways to deal with that if you're not ready to leave that person, is actually taking time away and doing doing things that you absolutely love and not caring what that other person thinks of you when you're there, when you're really able to just let go and accept that, okay, I'm in this relationship. What are ways that I can make myself feel better in it?
What you are seeking is seeking you. This is a response to a conversation that's going on about how do they find their romantic partner, their ideal 4D romantic partner. So in that, I love that quote, and I think it's exactly right.
And it could even be a career thing. It's like it's already seeking you, but you just have to be open to it. I never knew I'd be a painter until I kept hearing in my voice, like, start painting, start painting. So
Yeah,
maybe, there's a voice within your head that you keep repeating about an action that you need to do or something that you need to start. And that's because that is seeking you, for you to remember that gift that you've been born with.
right. Well, okay, and so now Bernice says it can be funny after you're gone. So she's still talking about the narcissistic experience,
Mhm.
and I'm saying that if it's funny while it's happening, then you have floated above them. You are way more powerful than they will ever be. They cannot affect you anymore when you're in that state. It's not
Mhm.
easy to get into that state. I'm not saying that, oh yeah, just laugh and it'll be fine. And I'm not even saying laugh out loud. You're laughing internally. But it is possible for you to be in a place like that, even in a situation as horrible as that one can be. Wow. Caitlyn had her abusive ex-husband Euston stand in front of Albertsons and
Hail. I think it's hail.
Hail Hitler at the building. Well, wow, that's pretty extreme, and I do concur that that is kind of funny.
Mhm. Well, now that we have a lot of people's attention, we aren't doing the show the next 2 Thursdays, is that correct?
Yes, because I'm going to be out of the country unless I have an incredible internet connection, and I'll let you know. But I don't have a lot of faith in that because it's Mexico. I'm
Mm,
just not sure,
yeah.
what I'm going to be doing during that day exactly. So
Mhm.
for now, we're going to say that we're taking a 2-week break unless we surprise and get connection.
Okay.
All right. Wow. That was like a whirlwind. It's already been an hour. I don't know how that happened. That was amazing. Thanks, everybody, for all of your awesome contributions and thoughts and questions. And I always love it when we have a lively chat because then we have plenty of things to talk about. So yeah, so I would say that if you are interested, like what these topics are all about is usually about the topic of the video that I release every Thursday. So if you haven't already found that, you can go to YouTube, and I'm putting the address in the chat right now, so you can go over there and check that out. If you aren't familiar with it and you subscribe and leave comments and likes and all that sort of thing, then it helps the YouTube algorithm. It helps me reach more people that we can hopefully help. So I would appreciate it if you did that. And then what do you got going on that we should share, Monica?
Well, if you just go on my Facebook page, Island Awakening, then I have a private meditation group that I host 2 free meditations each week. They're all guided. And then if you're on Instagram, you can see how I make my art, which is also Island Awakening. So there, I mean, some of you may know that I make intuitive paintings. Most of them are abstract because I can, help you see your energy. And if you're interested in that or wanting a conversation, you could just message me and I can tell you more about that.
Awesome. All right, everybody. Well, thanks again for participating. It was really fun. Thank you, Miriam. We enjoyed your questions and your thoughts, and everyone else. And we'll see you in 3 weeks.
The last Thursday of September, I think, or maybe it's the first Thursday of October.
Oh my
One of
gosh,
them.
it would be no. It's the 30th of September, so it is literally the last Thursday of September.
Okay.
All
Well,
right.
until then, everybody, aloha.
I love you unconditionally. See you next time.